Right, good evening everyone, and welcome to the TubeMix review show, Series 1, Episode 2, and today I'm reviewing the Leslie Iwerks film, the Pixar story. Well, film or documentary? No, I would probably, I don't know, maybe a bit of both. So yeah, I don't know if Jelly Wheels is going to join me. He's got a few things to do, so if he does join me, he does. If he doesn't, he doesn't. And this is my favourite documentary. It tells you how Pixar became, really big. It tells you about their beginnings, of how Ed Catmull, John Lasseter, and Steve Jobs, its three founders. It tells you about its early years with Lucasfilm, some of the early shorts that they did. It also goes into a little bit of John Lasseter's career as an animator at Disney, because before Pixar, he was one of the animators, one of the new so-called group of animators who Disney thought were really going to shine and maybe take on the big jobs that the Walt Disney's 9 old men did, who were retiring. John worked on the Fox and the Hound, who was part of those animators. And yeah, he was basically fired by Disney because John was really interested in computer animation. And because, Disney was sort of fearful of the technology, I think. And yeah, so John got fired and then, joined Pixar. Founded Pixar, yeah. Along with, as I said, Steve Jobs and Edwin Catmull. Now, of course, since this film, John Lasseter, he left Pixar. Yes, because he's, not a great person. We've found out, so I won't go into that, of course, but I'm sure you can find out if you want. Steve Jobs is no longer with us, and Edwin Catmull has, I think, retired from Pixar. Let's see. So I'm pretty sure. Oh yes, staying on an advisor through July 2019. So yeah, he's retired. So really, Pixar doesn't have any of its founders working, but still, Pixar is thriving. It's continuing to produce great movies. Although, in my opinion, most of Pixar's main movies that I've really, that I've seen, I don't know. They haven't seemed to really hit the spot for me, but that's just my opinion. I love Toy Story, Monsters Inc., Bugs Life, Toy Story, Cars. I quite like the Cars movies. In this documentary, you get to hear late animators Glenn McQueen, who I think died in the making of Finding Nemo, and it's dedicated to him, who I think Lightning McQueen was actually named after. And of course the late great, wonderful, very talented animator and voice actor Joe Ranft. He's also in there. Roy E. Disney is in there. Diane Disney Miller, Walt Disney's daughter. I think Ron Miller, former CEO of the Walt Disney Company, and Diane Disney's husband, I think. Yep. Well, yeah, you get to see lots of people. The late Mark Davis, who is a great one of Disney's 9 old men, George Lucas, Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, Billy Crystal, who voiced Mike, Woody, and Buzz, respectively, Michael Eisner, former CEO of the Walt Disney Company, Bob Iger, then current CEO of the Walt Disney Company, who had not long took over, who helped mend the relationship between Disney and Pixar. And Disney bought Pixar in 2006. When Eisner left the company, Iger took over. And so basically it tells you Pixar's early beginnings, its early short films, then its first few films under the Disney deal, the Pixar fallout, and where Pixar are currently. So it really is a brilliant documentary, and Leslie Iwerks, I've really enjoyed his documentary of the Imagineering story, which you can view on Disney Plus, which I absolutely love, and I'm going to be reviewing that absolutely again. What are my favourite moments in this documentary? Well, there's so many. It's just really interesting to hear a lot of the animators talk. You get to hear Brad Bird also talk, director of The Incredibles, and also former animator at Disney. He was part of that group with John Lasseter at CalArts, which is the animation school basically on Disney. It's one of my favourite documentaries, I think, and like Howard I reviewed last week, which but unlike Howard, this you do see shots of people talking, which I think I think you've got to mix it up. Sometimes the voiceovers of people, but also show them talking. Which Howard didn't do, but I understand maybe Don Hahn wanted to do something different, and you can catch my review of Howard on the TubeMix YouTube channel, and you can see that and tell me what you think of that one. Yes, so as I said, it's really brilliant documentary. Catch my review of Howard. And I really enjoy it, and it's very interesting. You see some of the story meetings where Pixar, when the animators sort of act out the story, which is a common thing in animation when they storyboard everything. You have say Joe Ram, for example, which is partly why I think he got the roles of Heimlich the Caterpillar, Wheezy the Penguin, Lenny the Binoculars, Red in Cars, so many voices. It's because he was just generally a very, very funny man, and you could also see in the footage, Pixar, it strikes you a really, really good place to work. Oh, excuse me. It seems to be they just have so much fun. Making movies is a very hard job. It's a very, very hard job. Very time consuming, definitely in animation. It also, people, for example, you see a wonderful clip of, I think, Pixar having a paper plane throwing competition, which is really wonderful, and I really enjoyed that. Also seeing one of the animators modeling, you know, when Woody steps out of the box and sort of does his I don't know, catwalk, sort of sexy catwalk. I guess that'd be one way of describing it. Yeah, it was just really good, and also it explains, some of the choices, and there was huge doubt because John Lasseter directed Toy Story and he directed A Bug's Life, and the next one from Pixar to step up to the director's chair was Pete Docter, and Pete directed Monsters Inc. Well, it was a huge risk because Pete had not even been a co-director, as they said. It was a huge risk, but it really paid off, and it showed that at Pixar, they trust each other. Pete and John's trust and everybody's trust. Certainly at Pixar. And yeah, it's really great to see. If I wanted to work for anybody, I would probably rather work for Pixar than Disney because, well, Disney. I don't know. Disney just seemed to be, Disney just seemed to be sort of a very strict place. Pixar strikes you as a place where you can have fun but also work. But Disney always seems just a little too serious, which is it's fair enough. I mean, I sort of get that, and of course, when you're working for a big company that demands success, it's hard, obviously, because Disney has been around longer since Pixar. It's just interesting to see. I mean, I don't know whether it's that way. I mean, since Disney has bought Pixar, I'm not sure whether Pixar sort of is going through, it's going through a completely new era. None of its founders are working at the studio anymore. John Lasseter, you can look him up. I won't go into why, but there are allegations basically. Just look them up. But I'm not going to go into them. Edwin Cutmore, as I said, retired, and Steve Jobs no longer with us, and also another person who has recently retired from Pixar, and I think they talked to him on this film, is Lee Unkrich. Now, Lee is rather interesting because he started as an editor on Toy Story and then eventually stepped his way to a director. That's a massive step up. And I think it just shows again that Pixar, the trust, even from going for such a small role to a director, I think it might see to show the trust again. And I really love the opening and the ending because it's really nice with the lovely film strip, a little homage sort of to. Well, films used to be strands of film before computers. And another thing which this documentary also goes to is to show some of the early computers, and the early tests for Toy Story are particularly hilarious when you think it's so different to the film that you got now. I mean, I love the test with synced up to one of Tom Hanks's films that I can't think what it is. I think it's Turner and Hooch, I think, when he says to the dog, "No, you're eating the car, don't eat the car." It's brilliant, and you can see why they chose him for Woody, because Tom Hanks is one of the best of our modern actors, I would say. He's absolutely brilliant. And also another favourite moment of mine is the recording sessions. You get to see Tom, Tim, I think you get to see Wally Shawn, Jim Varney, Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. Um, and yeah, we also get to hear from well, really a big person at Pixar. Well, I suppose to the whole sound of Pixar movies, the legendary Randy Newman, of course, who is, well, I mean, he scored 9 Disney Pixar films so far. So it just goes to show what his sound is. And it's interesting they explain that, well, me and Jelly Wheels were talking about Disney wanting to potentially cut part of your world from The Little Mermaid because, well, they thought kids would fidget and, well, they do. They do fidget. And Toy Story 2 is a very similar sequence, although I was thinking about that. It's obviously different because it's told in a flashback rather than in the present, say, because Ariel is wanting to be sort of a human, really, free from the pressures of the sea and becoming, well, the future queen after Triton, and Toy Story 2, however, is Jessie telling, well, her life with Emily, and how she had so much happy years with Emily together until she got forgotten and abandoned. And yeah, When She Loved Me, I mean, Randy Newman thought that kids wouldn't sit through because it is quite a lengthy sequence. I mean, not very long but well, yeah, I suppose I thought it was quite lengthy, and to this day I think that's his finest song ever done for Pixar. And I usually like Randy Newman singing the songs, but they really chose a wonderful singer to sing that, and that's Sarah McLachlan, who was mainly known for a one-hit wonder, really, Angel, which came in the charts in quite a few countries, and what a singer, what a beautiful voice she has. And it's a song, I think, which a lot of people can obviously relate to, and yeah, it gets a lot of adults. It's quite a tearjerker. It's a wonderful sequence. It's one of the best bits about Toy Story 2. And yeah, Tom Hanks and Tim Allen were saying when they watched it, they felt like crying as well. It was hard for them. So yeah, there's so many brilliant moments in this documentary. It's great to hear from all the big boys at Pixar. Yeah, it's really good, and you get to see clips of cars, which I thought was interesting because, given that the Pixar story was, well, would have been sort of made, I would have thought, well, 2005 perhaps, maybe, filmed, and then 2006, well, I don't know. It's interesting they have footage from Cars because that would have been not very long made. Maybe they would have added that one of the last thing to made. And it's also interesting. Another thing. I bet a lot of people have wondered, why do they have the Luxo lamp? Well, the Luxo lamp is a symbol of Pixar's sort of first success, because one of the best big short films that Pixar did prior to their relationship with Disney and stuff was Luxo Jr., when it had 2 Luxo lamps, with sort of bouncing on this ball. And that ball, of course, well, it's pretty much in every Pixar film, isn't it? It's a rather weird Easter egg. The lamp and the ball have proved to be sort of such small things have proved to be such big for Pixar, and they're very recognisable. And yeah, it's yeah, and you also hear from some of the old animators, Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnston. It's interesting to hear their thoughts, because obviously, those are the guys who really the golden years of animation. It's really really interesting, and there's a lot of good lines with this. Tom Hanks, I think says it perfectly. I feel like I'm in Dumbo. I feel like I'm in Pinocchio. This is truly going to be timeless and forever, and will always land in the consciousness of yet another generation of moviegoers, and another great archive recording of the great Walt Disney. And you couldn't leave him out, could you? When planning a new picture, we don't think of grown-ups and we don't think of children, but just of the fine, clean, unspoiled spot down deep in every one of us that maybe the world has made us forget, and that maybe our pictures can help recall. And another good line is Steve Jobs. Pixar seen by a lot of folks as an overnight success, but if you really look closely, most overnight successes took a long time. And Billy Crystal, this is probably the one. These people think differently than normal people. That's strange in the best way. It really summarizes just how clever the people at Pixar are and how wonderful they are. It's absolutely brilliant. There's lots of great moments from this, and I wonder what JLI Wheels, because I think he's yet to watch the Pixar story. It'd be interesting to see what he thought, because since I saw it, I think I saw it when it's I don't know actually. I don't know. I don't know when I first saw it. I can't remember, but it's definitely one that I absolutely love, and I've really enjoyed the Imagineer story, but this is the one that really hits me, because I've always been interested in behind the scenes, and I've always been a big fan of Pixar, particularly in Toy Story, rather really than the sort of soul Disney films. It's always been Pixar for me, and Toy Story is one of my favourite animated films, because to me, it's just a classic. The first one is, and Pixar seem to be really good at creating sequels more than Disney. They seem to be able to do sequels right, and Disney don't seem to struggle with that. It's very interesting to why that is. It's a really interesting one. It's great to hear George Lucas obviously talk. I mean, that this is the and also it's Pixar actually. We find worked on a couple of movies that sort of just in the background, not as a main studio, but just did the special effects. So I think some of them Industrial Light and Magic did on one of the. They worked with Industrial Light and Magic, also known as ILM, of course, on some of the Star Trek movies, and that was absolutely brilliant. So like I said, and I probably repeated myself so many times, I do apologise. it's a really great documentary. I do recommend you watch it. I would give it a 10 out of 10 because for me, it mixes things up. You have people talking and clips, but you also have some great archive footage and photos. And that's what a really good documentary film or a documentary should have, is to be able to mix it up. While I enjoyed Howard, and I know that probably Don Hahn he's more of a filmmaker than a documentary, for me, this is the perfect documentary. But yeah, I'll be interested to hear your views, and yeah, I don't know if it's actually been released on DVD. Oh, it has actually. Oh, outside North America. Oh, right, okay. So I guess you'd have to pick it up on there, but it is on Disney Plus, and I'm really glad it is on Disney Plus because when I was searching for it, I couldn't find it, but it has arrived on Disney Plus. Really enjoyed watching it. Oh, and it's even on Prime Video as well. Oh wow, and even on Netflix. So if you've got Netflix, if you've got Prime, if you've got Disney Plus, there's plenty of places you can watch it. It's a fantastic documentary. For me, it's a must watch. Along with Waking Sleeping Beauty, which is just absolutely fantastic about the second golden age of Disney animation. This is really this is really one of the big ones. I like Stacy Keach. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name, but I like his narration as well. Yeah, he's really he's really great as a narrator, and yeah, so yeah, it's really interesting. I know I'm probably repeating myself, so probably the time is to stop now. I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. Well done, Leslie Iwerks. What a fine film. Love the intro, love the ending as well, because the intro is great and it ends like it begins, really, on that sort of piece of film and sort of on, well, sort of on a film on a lamp. I think not the Pixar Luxor lamp, but well, another lamp. I think. What a great documentary! Just absolutely fantastic, and yeah, that's it. I think. Thank you for joining me for this review of the Pixar story. Let me know what you think. And yeah, I think next I'm going to be reviewing the Imagineering story. I mean, there's not really any football for a couple of weeks. So yeah, I reckon I might perhaps maybe do 2 a week, maybe. I don't know. I'll see. But we will see. And yeah. So well yeah, we'll just have to see. But yeah. Yeah, the Imagineering story. Then Waking Sleeping Beauty. Then I might review Frank and Ollie, actually, which I watched, which is actually more of a film than a documentary, but still great to see. And just those guys, just the friendship of them is just, it's great to see. They seem like such brilliant guys. Likes to have fun and, well, brilliant. Right, well, as I said, guys, that is it. Thank you for watching. If you want to, like, share, comment and subscribe to the TubeMix YouTube channel.